The year is 1968. In that year, we saw for the first time an image of the Earth from space. It looked blue and peaceful, but in fact, 1968 was a troublesome year, with unrest and violence all around the world. In America, Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were both assassinated, and riots blazed in the streets. Tens of thousands of people died in the Vietnam War, and protests against that war spread around the world. In London, there were pitched battles between police and demonstrators around the American embassy in Grosvenor Square. There were student riots in Paris, and in Czechoslovakia, Russian tanks rolled in to crush an anti-Soviet government. Things were relatively quiet here in the north of England, but the iron and steel industry here was in trouble. Cumberland iron was of high quality, but expensive, and cheaper imports were flooding in from elsewhere around Europe, increasing year after year. Most of the industry had been nationalised, but not in Millom. The Millom Ironworks was still in private ownership, part of a huge multinational conglomerate called the Cranley Group that was based in Spain. The order book was full. Things looked promising. And there was a new process for making steel called mill spray, developed here in the town. But in order to make mill spray work, big investment was needed in the Millom Ironworks. And by the summer of '68, the question was acute. Where would this money come from? From the government or from the owners? At around the same time, just down the road in Barrow, the shipyard engineers began an industrial action in June of 1968, which lasted until the end of the year. The news of the dispute dominated the paper, and it worried the government because it paralysed the programme for building nuclear submarines in the shipyard that was very close to the government's heart. The question must have been asked in London: why would we put more public money into an area that was already causing us so much trouble? The unions in Millom were not the problem. They were small and fragmented. The managers were not the problem. They understood only too well the difficulties that the Millom Ironworks was facing, but they were powerless to intervene between the government and the owners. In the summer of 1968, negotiations began seriously between the Labour government, led by Harold Wilson, and the owners, the Cranley Group. The government offered more money to invest in the Millom Ironworks, but the owners said it wasn't enough, and the talks stalled. The two local MPs were involved. The MP for Millom, Joe Simons, was actually based in Whitehaven. He was tired, he was heading for retirement, and he appeared to be more interested in the future of the Florence pit in Egremont than he was in what was happening in Millom. The MP for Barrow, Albert Booth, was a big noise in the Labour Party. He took a strong and principled stand against the owners of the Millom works and blamed them for their failure to invest in the works earlier. He said publicly that no public money should be spent in bailing the Millom Ironworks owners out. By early August of 1968, the owners appeared to realise that no public money would be forthcoming to help with the development of mill spray. And in a boardroom somewhere a long way from here, a decision was made that the Millom Ironworks would close for good on Friday, September the 13th, 1968. The news came as a terrible shock to the town. Many people just didn't believe it. It didn't make sense. Others felt it was just another stage in the complex negotiation between the owners and the government. The truth is, Millom Ironworks was crushed to death by forces that no one in this town could control. The days ticked down towards the closure. and our play begins early in the morning of the day the ironworks closed.
Oh, fuck. My name is Michael Doyle. I was born in this house, and I've lived here ever since. My wife Carol, she lives here too, and the kids. It's a bit early for them. I start work at 6, time I was off. I've worked down there since I was 14 years old. 35 bloody years. Hard work, decent pay, respect. I bought the house a couple of years ago. But now they're telling us the works has to close. Order books are full. Plenty of work. So why? Cheap imports, I reckon. Undercutting us. Bloody governments. Labour, Tory, they're all the same. They've been pissing us around for weeks. Longer. Vague promises. They're telling us one thing and then they're doing something else. Honestly, I thought it was all a bit of a bluff. Threatened to close us down so we'll take a pay cut or something. At least that's what I told my wife. And our lad Jack, he's due to start work down there next year. What now? God knows. I'm going to work this morning because it's what I do. But what's the bloody point? There's hundreds of us down at the works. They can't sack us all. Surely to God. And you lot? Don't just sit there. Do something.
Oh, hello, Alison. Come in. Susan's not down yet. Go up if you want. Tell her to get a move on.
It's okay. No rush. Are you alright, Mrs. Doyle?
Oh, yeah. It's just the smoke from the works. Makes me eyes itch. Come in, love.
Yeah, Mum moans all the time about it.
Keeping okay, is she? Your mum?
Yeah, I suppose. She doesn't say much.
And your dad? Does he know much about what's happening today? Him being a manager, you think he'd know more than we do?
He hasn't said anything, but he never speaks to me. He's been late at home every night this week. Don't know why.
No, you wouldn't do, would you, love? Susan, stop pushing your hair over the table.
No knits in my hair, ma'am. Not like that girl in Mrs. Turner's group, Ellie. You could see them crawling around in her hair. They sent her home, but I bet the biddies are still there waiting to jump out at us. Is this Dad's?
You forgot it.
Shall I take it down for him?
No.
Won't take a minute.
Not today. He could be home early. For heaven's sake, Susan, get some breakfast. You like a bit of yourself today, jumping around all over the show.
Why would Dad be home early? Do you know?
I've told you, Mum, I don't know anything.
It must be weird having Daddy's a boss. You should see their house, Mum. It's massive. And they've got a car, a big one.
Don't go on, Susan. Come on, let's go.
Leave poor Alison alone. And I've told you before, you're not going anywhere without something to eat. You go on, Alison, she'll catch you up. Jack, get a bowl and some milk. Honestly, I've told you before, not straight from the bowl.
It's just because you're here, Ollie. Susan says you're posh.
I never. Anyways, our mum says Dad will be home early.
Why?
Closing the works, aren't they? He'll be right out of the job. Right, Mum?
Nah, they'll never close the works. Not for good. All the book's full. Dad told me. And we got a new way of making steel. Mill spray. Even named after Millom, see? Millom spray. So they can't close it. We try to frighten everybody. What did your dad say, Ali?
Oi, it's Mr. Thornton to you, and never mind what he says. I've told you both, stop talking and get eating, and leave poor Alison alone. Just ignore them, Alison. You'd think they've been dragged up the way they're carrying on. Honestly. Jack's school think an awful lot of him. Oh, how polite he is, Mrs. Doyle. And Mr. Atkinson wants him to go on to do an apprenticeship at Sellafield or the shipyard.
Oh, Specky Atkinson. He's just a maths teacher. What does he know? Anyway, I don't want to go to Sellafield every day. I have to sit on the train for hours. Why do that when you can just walk down the road?
See, I tell him to lift his head up and look beyond Millom. But he's just like his dad. I bet you want to go to college, don't you, love?
My mum said I should, but I don't think about it. It's a long way ahead.
I want to go to college. It's better than working at the tannery. I'll do my hair and get my shoes, and then we're off. I'll see you at the car.
Okay, don't be long. Bye, Mrs. Doyle. Bye, Jack.
See you, love. See, our Susan knows you need an education. It takes longer to get earning, but then it's better money and better prospects. The Ironworks won't be there forever, Jack. Things are changing. You could get left stranded. You and your dad. Okay, Sellafield's a long way, but the shipyard's not that far.
Barrow Shipyard. Have you seen this? Engineers are still out. It's been months now. Bloody commies.
Oh, language. They don't like the nuclear subs.
Like I said, commies. Anyway, don't want to go to Barrow every day. Why should I? Right, see you later.
See ya.
See you later, Mum. Try not to worry about it too much. They won't close the works. Not forever. They can't, can they?
Straight home tonight, yeah? Just in case.
In case what?
Well, you know, if they do get let out early, there might be some trouble.
What kind of trouble? Do you mean people marching around with banners and a band?
No, nothing like that. You know, just blokes getting upset.
Drunk?
Well, if they do get let out early, they might go to the pub. So straight home, yeah?
Okay. Sorry, Brad, I'm late. I'll see you later.
Want a cuppa, man?
Oh, Tara. Parky out there today.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, Mick forgot his bait box. Susan said she'd take it to him, but I told her not to bother. I reckon they'll kick him out by lunchtime.
Aye. Well, half of them still think it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Mick says that the owners are playing some sort of game with the government, that they'll come in and bail us out. Should have heard him going on about Mr. Wilson and those two MPs, one from Whitehaven, t'other from Barra. Neither of them know anything about Millom, and Mick still thinks it's never going to happen, that the owners will get compensation and Millspray will get the investment.
Fat chance. Too late for all that now. They want to wake up and do something.
The bosses.
No, not the bosses, the men. They've no idea. They should have made more of a fuss weeks ago when the closure was announced. And it's no good going down London, they just get fobbed off. Barrow engineers know what to do. Down tools. Go to the papers. Millom needs to get itself on the front page of the paper for once.
That's no use, ma'am. It's too late to down tools. We need to make Millom look good with a future. How's making a fuss going to help with that?
Ah, well, we were talking last night, me and the lasses, and we want to do something.
The lasses, that gang you worked with at the tannery, they haven't been lasses for years.
Well, we're not too old to do something.
Do what?
Well, we've got a few ideas.
Susan reckons the men should have abandoned banners. You're up to something, aren't you? What is it?
Well, we haven't quite decided yet, but Anna Zally reckons that you might help us out.
Anna Sally, she's trouble, she is.
Oh.
She may have fought her way out of Poland after the war, but this is Millom. That's not the way we do things here. Honestly, whatever you're up to, I want naught to do with it.
Hey, don't you go bad-mouthing Anna. She's got guts. She didn't sit around mourning when that man of hers disappeared. Just got on with life. Gwen Jones too. And when Oddbody finally closes, well, that's her Gareth out of her job and all. We can't just sit around and do now, Carol. The town's going to pot. Here, I'll tell you what we were thinking, but not a word to anyone, right? Not yet. So, one of the union blokes sent a funeral card to Mr. Wilson, you know, with the black edges, about Millom dying if the works closes.
I heard that. Childish, I thought.
Childish? Well, I thought it was rather clever. Anyway, it got us thinking, and Maggie reckons that if...
God, Maggie Williams, it's worse and worse, honestly. Whatever you're up to, I want naught to do with it.
You're as bad as the rest of them, Carol. Gutless. If they close that ironworks, this town will die. I'm telling you, Carol, and folks like you and Mick and the town council and all those other buggers in suits, well, they've got to sit around and let it happen and then mourn afterwards. Well, me and the lasses have got things to do, so I'm off and I'll see you later.
When?
Later, when we've done what we want to do. Your dad would have been cheering us on, you know. He knew how to fight.
That was years ago. Things are different now.
Ah, well, some things are just the same. Working people like us still getting shat on.
Ooh, Edna, you there?
I'll be there in a minute, lass. I'm just making Maggie a brew. Oh. I'll just grab Maggie's tea.
All right.
You already? No? Oh. There you go.
So come on then, come on. What did your Carol say?
Oh, not much. Well, I told her we wanted to make a fuss, but it's a waste of time trying to talk to her. That's not the way we do things. Anyway, she said our Susan had a good idea.
Oh, well, good for her. She takes after her gran,
Aye,
that one.
she does.
So what did she say?
Something about a band and banners.
Oh, a band and banners. Well, that sounds better than just walking from the works into town at the end of the shift. You know, like the union fellow was on about. We need to do something to get that bloody barrow strike off the front page for once.
We do.
Anyway, we told that bloke from the paper something special was going to happen here today.
What bloke from the paper?
Well, the other night, Maggie and me was down to Devon, and he's in there talking about the works closing, asking what was going to happen, how people feel about it, and he's buying drinks all round, you know, buttering the folk up. Anyway, you know what Maggie is.
Aye, we know what Maggie's like. Here she is.
What am I like then? With a bloke from the paper down to Devon. You know, what's his name?
Oh, aye, Derek. Pretty sad bloke, wasn't he? But he was flashing the money round, said he wanted something good to put on the front page of the Evening Mail. So I told him to come back today. I've promised him a good story.
Promise him anything else?
Oh, no, I'm not that desperate.
But what did you tell him was going to happen?
Nothing definite. I just told him we'd have something for him.
Well, that's it now, isn't it? We have to do something. Maybe the march from the works into town will be enough, but it's no plan till 4:30, you know, when the last shift's supposed to finish.
Well, it's not going to work, is it? All it needs is the bosses to close early, and the whole march goes down the toilet. The men won't hang around till 4:30. They go to the pub or go home. Anyway, half of them think the closure's not going to happen. My Gareth reckons Mr. Wilson's ready to step in at the last minute, like Superman, to save the town.
Superman? Our old bloody Wilson in his Gannick smack. What the hell does he care?
Well, it's a Labour government, isn't it? Supposed to be all for the working man.
Working man. They've never even heard of Millom. Don't even know where it is.
But the works boss went down to London, didn't he? You know, to get them to cough up for mill spray. So if the owners won't pay for it, then maybe the government take the works over.
Nay, that bloke Derek reckons it's all over. Too much cheap iron coming in from abroad to compete, he says. Anyway, he reckons Millom's a dead-all, not worth trying to save.
Cheeky bugger.
And you took a drink from the snobby git. Where's he from anyway? Barrow?
Manchester, he says he hates it up here.
Oh, okay. So he's a snobby git. But if he comes around this afternoon and wants some pictures, well, we're going to have to do something, or we'll look like idiots. Here, tell them what you thought of, Maggie.
Well, what started it off was them sending that funeral card down to the Prime Minister.
Aye, and I was telling our Carol about that.
Well, that got me thinking, and I thought we could have our own funeral procession round the town later on today.
Yes, but what if the men are marching too?
Well, we can join in with them.
I know. We could have a band playing really slow. Dum, dum, da-dum,
Can you not shut us up?
da-da-da-da-da.
Oi, we haven't got a band.
Sit down.
But the school have a band.
Oh, aye. Please, Mr. Headmaster, can we borrow your band this afternoon and put all the little darlings on the front page of the Evening Mail? Oh, of course, Mrs. Mitchell. What a splendid idea. Oh, you daft sod.
Okay, forget the band. But we could have a drum. A big one.
Here, how about a dustbin lid?
I mean, I could find a drum, but we'll need to carry a coffin.
A coffin? But they're bloody heavy. And you know my back is still bad.
Too much shagging.
But if Daddy's through, then you will be in a wheelchair.
Oh, here, shut up about shagging. Where are we going to get this coffin?
Well, it doesn't have to be a real one, just a long box, light enough to carry, mind. And we can cover it with something.
A flag. The Union Jack. Patriotic. Buy British, not some cheap iron from God knows where. It fits Maggie.
Oh, this is looking good. I told Derek it'd be with his while. Oh, for God's sake. Now what about this coffin? It's early yet. Enough time for someone to knock a few planks together. What about Harry Hopkins? He made an end coop for me once.
And he's got the time. Now he can't work anymore. Oh, he cough so bad, poor Harry. But, you know, if we ask him, I think he would still do it.
I'll ask him, he owes me a favour.
Oh, Maggie.
Oh, don't start that again. This is serious. Are we sorted?
I'll find a drum. That's my job. But what about the flag?
I bet the Conservative Club have one. Our Carol would know, but I'm not asking her. That's not the way we do things. Here, leave it to me, though. I'll ask around. Somebody's bound to have one from the coronation or something.
Aye, right. Let's get going. I'll go and see Harry about the coffin. You lot get looking for a drum and a flag, and we'll meet back here at noon before the hooter goes off. Once we're sorted, we can put the word around, but only folk that'll be okay with it, mind.
Good idea.
Well, who's not going to be okay with it? We're not doing any harm. We're just getting Millom in the paper like it should be.
There'll be a lot of folk like my Carol and Mick that won't be too happy. They don't like rocking the boat. And if the works does stay open, well, they don't want to upset the bosses. I told them. The bosses will be okay whatever happens. It's the working men. They're the ones who get dumped. If you wear a suit to work, you're safe. If you're in your working boots, well, you bloody had it.
I'm going to see Betty because
See you later, girls.
Here, Maggie, wait for me.
Oh, come on, Edna.
Just get me coat. Hold your horses, lass. Here.
Everybody's there, you don't want to miss it.
I'm not going up there, and neither are you. Now get in that house. Where's your brother?
He's with our dad, and Gran's there too.
Gran, what's she doing?
I told you, they're all there. Gran was banging a drum.
God, she's with those tannery lasses, isn't she? I knew they were up to something earlier on when they were laughing and shouting like a bunch of kids. Honestly. Now sit there and tell me what's been happening. And where's our Jack?
He's with our dad and the other blokes. Dad said he had to go home.
And what's all this about a drum?
Oh, I heard it when we came out of school. Far away, like. We all rushed to the town and there was loads of people standing around. And then some women come into the square carrying a coffin. It was those mates of Gran's, Mrs. Evans and Mrs. Ellie.
Mrs. Zielinski and Mrs. Williams was there too?
Yeah, all of them. They were carrying a box with a flag over it, like a coffin at a funeral.
A coffin? What for?
It's a funeral for the town, ma'am. Don't you see? It's dead now that Ironworks are closing. Our Gran was walking along in front, banging a drum. You know, sort of slow, like... Dum, dum,
Oh my
dum.
God.
And then there was loads of shouting and pushing, and some men were shouting at the women, other people were clapping. We just stood and watched, and a bloke was taking pictures, but I saw Ali there. She was right upset. She ran away, down this way.
I've not seen her.
She might have gone home. Shall I go and look for her?
You're not going anywhere, miss. Now get up them stairs and take your school clothes off.
Okay, but if Ali comes, tell her to stay alone, yeah?
Alison? What are you doing here? You should be at home.
I was going home, but...
Oh, let's get you in the house. Come on, it's freezing. Honestly. Susan! Come down! Alison's here! Do you want a cup of tea, love? Yeah. Put that kettle on, Susan. Alison's upset. We need a cuppa.
What happened, Ali? Where'd you go?
I was going home, but then
What happened, love? Tell me.
there were some lads, I don't know the names, they left school last year, a gang of them. They were carrying something. It looked like a scarecrow.
A scarecrow? Are you sure?
It looked like a person, stuffed arms and legs, like a scarecrow. It was wearing black trousers and a jacket, like my dad wears to work, and a hat on its head. They...
Put that kettle on, Susan. I've told you before. What did they do, love? Tell me.
They waved a thing at me from across the street. They said that it was my dad, and that we were going to string him up from the top of the furnace for everyone to see. They called him names, rude names, and they said, well, I thought they were going to beat me up, but I couldn't do anything. I just stood there.
Who was it, Ali? Oh, Jack will sort him out.
No, don't tell Jack. Don't tell anyone, please. I just want to go home.
Don't fret, love. We'll get you home. Are you on the phone at home?
Yeah, Millom 451.
Right, you stay here. You're safe here. Have a cup of tea. I'll go to Betty's and phone you home. Susan, I'm going to be 5 minutes. Do not open this door unless it's your gran, your dad, or our Jack.
Put some sugar in it. Gran says you need sugar when you're upset. And now that Mum's gone, what did those lads really say?
Well, they knew my name and Dad's name. They called him an effing bastard, and all the other bosses too. Said that they'd stolen everybody's jobs, sold them all out. But it's not their fault, Susan, honestly. My dad didn't do this.
Well, who did?
I know my dad didn't. He's been upset all week, hardly speaking to us. He might have known something was going to happen, but he couldn't stop it. And now they're going to hang him up like a criminal. It's not fair.
Don't listen to those stupid lads. They know now.
But what's going to happen to us? To me, we can't stay here. My dad's lost his job, just like your dad's, and we're going to have to move away. And I liked it here. Well, I did before today.
It's too soon to think about all of that. You need to go home to your mum. Will she come for you in the car? Can I come too?
Your mum won't hear, won't she? Best leave it till tomorrow. Things will be quieter then.
Right, Alison, your dad's coming for you. I said we'd meet him at the far end of the street. All right. Let's have a look at you. I didn't tell him what happened, just that you were a bit upset. Okay. Susan, I'm going to be a minute. If our Jack comes, tell him to stay here. Come on, love, let's get you home.
Mum's gone out with Ali. She says you have to stay here.
Where'd they gone?
Ali's dad's coming to pick her up. Mum's just taken her to the corner.
Is Ellie alright? I heard what happened when I thought she might come here. Them lads spent all afternoon making that stupid thing. We didn't have to pick on her. It's not her fault.
Not her dad's fault either. You coming in?
No, not yet. There's too much going on. And I have to look after Dad. He's had a few. Listen. Go to Mum 10, right? I'll be back later.
Oh, poor lass. Who were those lads that upset her?
I don't know, but our Jack probably does.
Well, where is he and where's your dad?
I don't know.
Well, when did you see them last?
In the square. They were right cross when they saw the coffin.
Cross with who?
With Gran. With all the women. Even another bloke tried to get it off them, but there was loads of pushing. Our Jack shouted at me to go home, but he didn't come with me. Shall I go and look for him?
You're not going anywhere, miss. I'm not having you showing us up as well as your gran. Oh, God. It's that Maggie Williams. She's the one. Always poking her nose in. Oh, no man to clean up for. Nothing better to do. And that Anna Zally. She may have fought away out of Poland after the war, but that was wartime. This is Millom. We don't need to fight.
But we do, ma'am. Our dad's lost his job.
We don't know that for sure. There'll be other jobs, won't there? Mr. Wilson can't throw all those men out of work and not do something to help. Somebody has to help us. Surely to God.
Mr. Wilson's in London. He probably doesn't even know about Millom. Anyways, our dad's lost his job, and it's all our Jack's ever talked about, going down the works when he leaves school. So, I don't get it. Why was our dad so cross about the coffin?
It's like you say. It's like that it's all over, that the town's dead. And it's embarrassing. And you know what your dad's like, he hates being shown up.
By the women, you mean?
Oh, by anyone, at least of all my mother and her mates. God, it's a nightmare.
Where is she? Where's that bloody mother of yours?
She's not here, she hasn't been here all day.
Well, I saw her. She was parading around the town with her mates, making bloody idiots of themselves, showing us all up, carrying a bloody coffin with his flag draped over the top. What for? What are they on about? Millom's dead, is that it? Bloody rubbish.
Just a bit of fun, Dad.
You, keep your nose out of this. This is grown-up business. Nothing to do with you. Get upstairs now.
No.
I said get upstairs now!
Michael, stop shouting and stop taking it out on Susan. She's done nothing wrong.
Well, she was there. I saw her with all her little friends and that Alison, the manager's lass. They were laughing, Carol, laughing.
Laughing at what?
At your bloody mother and her sodding cronies. Making fools of us, all of them, Carol. And some shithead taking photos. And this? How dare they?
Well, maybe they wanted to do something to get Millom on the front page for once.
Yeah, well, they've done that right enough, making fools of us. Don't you see? They're saying the town's dead, Millom's dead. How are we going to get more jobs here if that's on the front page? Oh, so you're just going to sit there, are you? Well, our Susan gets no tea, right, and I'm going out.
Where? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give those fucking women a piece of my mind, and don't you try and stop me.
Has he gone? I could hear him halfway down the street.
Go after him, son. He's going to go after your gran and shout at her too, or much worse. It's no good me going. Anyway, I have to stay here with our Susan. Go after him, make sure he does no damage. I don't know what's got into him.
He's had a few, man. They all have. Knocked off at lunchtime. Been down the pubs ever since. When Gran and mates came marching down the road, I thought they'd be cheering like. And some of them were. But Dad's mates were livid, shouting, booing. Dad tore the flag off the coffin and everyone piled in. And there was a bloke taking pictures. It were a right mess.
Gran all right?
Oh, aye. She was a bit upset about the shoving and booing, but then camera room can hold their own. But the bloke with the camera loved all that.
Where did they go?
Not sure. He turned the other way around the square. But then I saw Dad, so I followed him. Then he started talking to some other blokes, so I waited back a bit. But I should have come in case.
In case what?
You know, when he's had a few.
He's never laid a finger on me, Jack. You know that.
I will, he shouts. That's bad enough. Anyway, did he shout at our Susan? Where is she?
She's upstairs keeping out the way. Alison was here, but her dad came to get her. Do you want something to eat?
Jack! Oh, this hand, the step lad. There'll be a lot if this gets damaged. I get the flaming thing out of the way. Oh.
Where have you been, Mum? I've been worried sick.
You were banging that drum, weren't you, Gran? We're putting you right down at school.
Get up them stairs and do what your dad that says bid.
Oh, bloody no, I don't want to carry on, and I don't know where the others got to. I turned around, they're all gone, left me, standing on my own, with that, lugging that flaming drum around. Oh, there's a bit on if he gets up.
Carol's micking. He was, he's gone again. I warn you, he's in a foul mood.
And what happened to you lot? 1 minute you were behind me, and the next you all buggered off. Left me standing on my own with that there drum, looking like a blooming idiot.
Someone tried to grab the coffin, so we had to hang on to it and run. We ended up down by the co-op. I couldn't carry the bloody thing anymore, so we just drop it in the yard down the back. And let me leg it around here.
Oh, I'm proper puffed out. Oh, it was so exciting.
Exciting. You should get out more. Anyway, Derek got his pictures, front page stuff he reckoned, right, belters.
And that's what Mick and all those blokes were upset about. Don't you see? Yes, Millom is on the front page, but not for all those men losing their jobs, but for all the trouble in the square.
Does it matter? Now folk will know something really awful's going on here. Honestly, Carol, we've done now wrong.
She's right, you know. At least somebody was making a fuss. All the blokes could do was hide in the pub and moan on about the management. Well, it's not the management, it's the bloody government they should be shouting at.
Ram, some lad from school made a dummy, you know, like a scarecrow. He dressed up like one of the managers. Said they're going to hang off the big furnace.
Oh.
Alison was here, poor lass. She said the dummy looked like her dad.
And that's what I mean. Stupid and cruel too. Poor old lass. And it's not the managers. They don't own the place. Oh, they don't even make the decision whether mill spray will work or not. Bloody owners are in Spain, that lot they care. And the government, well, God knows what they're up to. And that's what I mean. That's the trouble with Millom. Keeps looking inwards, in on itself. Oh, God. Maybe those pictures in the square won't help.
Bit late for that now, isn't it? Oi, Maggie, you two, get out of here, I've had enough. Out. Had enough for one night. Bloody hell, get out. Somewhere else. Ma'am, you go home, lock the door. Jack, you go and stay with her.
Not me. Grant will be looking after her. I'm going to go find me dad. Easy on, you lot do.
I've told you, you're staying with your gran.
And I said I'm not. I'm not a kid anymore, you can't make me.
See? See what you and your mates have done? It's an awful day and you've made it worse. Go home, ma'am. Leave Mick to me. He'll come home when he's calmed down. He always does.
You're as bad as the rest, Carol. If we don't fight for this town, there'll be no town left. Just a lot of ruins and empty houses.
Just go home. You've done enough damage. Leave it! Go home.
Well, I'm not going home to sit on my own. I'll be at Maggie's. Everyone cares. Has Mick come home yet, Carol?
Shh. Susan's upstairs.
Maggie's gone back uptown. I couldn't face it. Here, where's that gin you were saving for Christmas?
Gin, I'm feeling bad enough already.
Well, I need some. Where is it?
It's on the top shelf up there.
Well, I can't reach up there.
God's sake, that bloody drum cluttering up my kitchen. You better get rid of that before Mick sees it.
You wouldn't let me take it.
Here, it's the good stuff, not that rubbish. You better just have a little bit. Have some juice with it.
much chance of drinking too much out of a thimble like this. Oh, that's better. So, your man's lost his job. What are you going to do?
Go back to work. Got a mortgage to pay for. The money's got to come from somewhere.
Well, will you work then?
Not the tannery, unless all else fails. I could try the shoe factory or LBO. I can sew, but it's been a while.
Money's better at the tannery.
Oh, I couldn't do it, ma'am. Not again.
What about Michael? What'll he do? Oh, here. You have the thimble. I'll have a proper glass.
He's got to work, ma'am. He can't just sit around. He'd go mad.
Does he still think it's not going to happen?
Maybe not. Not after this. He's got to get a proper job, ma'am. Not something soft. I can't imagine him working in a shop or driving a bus. He's got no schooling to speak of. It's too late to change.
What about his brother, John? Is he still at the plant at Garby?
As far as I know. But they haven't spoken for months. Since the mum died, the family's just fallen apart.
But they're still brothers, no matter what. Maybe John will do something for him.
Get him a job, you mean? I'm not sure it works like that. Not anymore. Oof. Bet that Alison's dad's all right. In his big house with his fancy car. Look after themselves, don't they? The bosses.
You're right there, love. Here, but what about our Jack? What's he gonna do? He's talked about going to work down the road ever since he started big school.
It's all he's ever wanted to do. He's just not interested in anything else. He doesn't want to get on that early train every day instead of walking down the street. Short-sighted, just like his dad. But maybe this'll change his mind, eh?
Aye, maybe. Oh. Any sign of him?
No. Our Jack's mate Jimmy came by before and said they'd gone to the Royal and not to worry. It's gone 10, ma'am.
He's 15, Carol. No school tomorrow. And he's with his dad. He's okay.
I just wish he was here. He's just a boy and his future's falling apart. Bloody gin making me weepy.
All the more for me then. Here, but what about our Susan?
She's still upstairs, probably listening in.
But what about her, Carol? Because she's a bright lass, that one. She's going to college, even if I have to pay for it myself.
Are you still here? I would have told you my wife without you getting in the way, right? So here, take your mother's ruin and bugger off home.
I'll take your gin, right?
You've done enough trouble for one day. And what's that bloody thing doing here? What's that?
No,
That's it. Jack, take that drum out of here now.
Oh, you
Get
make
it
all this
out.
worse. Honestly, ma'am, just go home.
You've got to be all
I'll
right.
be fine. Go home, please.
Get it out. So? What are we going to do?
Well, that's for me and your dad to decide.
It's my life too. Don't treat me like a kid. I'll join the army. What? Get out of this dead hole.
Like hell you will. Mick, tell him.
You can forget about that, Jack. If you leave here, it'll be with me. Not to go and get shot at God knows where.
So, what are you going to do, Dad?
Well, our John will have to help out. He's still family, remember?
But you haven't spoken for months. Since your mum's funeral.
Well, times change, Carol.
You told me the owners had changed their minds. That they keep the place open.
Maybe. But for how long? We've had it some. Cheap iron and steel coming in from Europe. The bloody government couldn't give a shit about the small fry like us. Even the union lads reckons it's over. Sold down the river. That's what they were saying tonight. We've had it. If not today, next week, next month. We'd better get out now before the rush.
Get out? But where? And what about us?
What? You and Susan? Well, you stay here. Try and get a job if you can, and our Jack too. Susan can finish school, your mum can help. I can live cheap. There's no point in trying to sell the house. Not yet. It won't be worth anything anyway once everyone else moves out.
But where, Michael?
Wherever it takes. Wherever the work is, Carol. Workington, Corby, even down south.
Dad goes away, I'm going too. If you stop me from joining up, you can't stop me from going away to work with Dad. We need the money. You and me. Right, Dad?
You lot still here? What a mess. The newspaper's got the photos of Millom people fighting each other. They'll be on the front page tomorrow. There'll be a few more days of news, and then nothing. Millom men will line up at the bureau, looking for work. To start with, they'll turn up in their Sunday best, hopeful. But gradually, week by week, they'll give up. Susan will finish school, and she'll go away to college. And she won't come back. Why would she? There'll be fewer people in the town, fewer jobs, less money. The town will survive, but it'll be changed forever. Just think about that.
Oh, Maggie, this Millom's a wonderful sight, with the buggers all drinking by day and by night. They'd go down to Ben's, a pub called the Mouse, and when Barney got in, well, there'd be a full house.
Councillor Barham would then take the chair and call out for order to all that were there.
Then they cheers to the town, 'cause we're happy to be where the slag banks of Millom roll down to the sea. The people of Millom are what makes this town. You can knock 'em to ground, but they never stay down.
So we'll build on the past and we'll find a new way. With our legacy strong, we will grow day by day.
We'll stand tall and fight for the place we belong. Support one another to join in this song. So it's cheers to the town, 'cause we're happy to be where the slag banks of Millom roll down to the sea. So it's cheers to the town, 'cause we're happy to be where the slag banks of Millom roll down to the sea.
This is cheers to the town, 'cause we're happy to be where the slack backs of Millom